Hey, my name is Fred the Finch. You might know me as Ronald. I'm one of the best Yamatos in the game right now. And with Deadlock's minor patch on July 29th, although it was a minor patch, it changes a lot about how the macro and the thought process of this game functions. Just to quickly go over the relevant changes for this video, the mid-boss got almost completely reworked, where now instead of dropping one crystal, which halves the respawn time, it drops 3 crystals, and those crystals are applied to each person that secures it, and it gives big buffs to max HP, fire rate, and spirit damage, as well as giving you a kind of soul rebirth that respawns you in 3 seconds. This buff lasts for 5 minutes, and with each subsequent mid-boss kill, another crystal will drop, meaning the next one will give you 4 and then 5 crystals. The mid-boss's HP is now also determined when the mid-boss spawns, rather than when you start killing it. Previously, if you started killing the mid-boss for the first time at 30 minutes, it would have a lot of HP. But now every time you kill the mid-boss for the first time, it has 12,500 HP. This means that in the mid and late game, you can really burst down the mid-boss super fast and force mid-boss off of just 1 or 2 picks rather than needing a whole team wipe. They also changed the walkers to give the walkers more HP, and they took away the teleporters that were sitting behind the side walkers. This makes it take a lot longer to rotate from each side of the map, and it means that even though the walkers have more HP, it is a lot easier to split push and take them. So, with these changes added up, you get objectives that are much more easily bursted down, and if you don't almost constantly attend to them, they'll be taken by the other team instantly. So the biggest thing I want to talk about today is thinking about playing the game proactively rather than playing it reactively. And we'll be going through a couple examples just to show you exactly what I mean and illustrate my point. Okay, so going into this first example, the things I notice immediately are that we're pushing up green with 2 people, we're pressuring blue with a big fight, and yellow is completely empty. The yellow wave is at about just mid, but that can change very quickly. Something you want to think about when you're playing this game and looking at the map is how many of your team is showing and how many of their team is showing. In this example, almost every single person on our team is showing, as we're either in a fight on blue or pushing up green and pressuring this haze. So their team knows that yellow is almost completely empty and it's free to push. So, even as I push this green with my Infernus and we push this walker and I fight this haze, as soon as I see the ivy show on the map on yellow and clear that wave, I call my team yellow. Yellow? This definitely wasn't the best comm, and I could have been a lot more clear about what I was trying to convey to my team. But we immediately notice that the ivy is pushing, and I try to get my team to kind of back up and help yellow. And as you see, instead of immediately backing up as soon as I say it, or as soon as they see the ivy at mid, instead they wait until the ivy is completely at the walker, and then the viscid starts to rotate. So, by the time anybody even gets there to contest, the walker's already dead and we've already lost it. And here's just one quick example of me responding to the push as soon as I see them make any pressure at all. As soon as I see the 7 show up on the yellow lane, I'm immediately rotating, and so by the time I get there, I meet him there and I can actually fight. It wasn't like good, but like it was definitely playable. Yamato is definitely one of those characters, yeah. Unless like you really fucked with their numbers, like should kind of be fine. Responding to a walker push is much more simple than responding to a mid-boss push, so I just want to talk about one more quick thing before we go over and talk about mid-boss. Something that a lot of people might not know is when you're pushing up a wave, even if the troopers aren't walking with you and you're walking ahead of them, the lines in the map themselves will move as you walk with the wave. So even if you can't see somebody on the map, if you see your line quickly disappearing before the troopers are walking up, then you know that somebody is walking with them. In this example, you can see that the Wraith is pushing up this green wave, and even though she's not on the map, the line is quickly disappearing on our green side. So this time, on mid-boss, we're going to start with a good example rather than a bad one. So we lose last fight and they kill 3 of us. We still have the green and yellow waves pushing up, so we have a good amount of zip to use in order to get to the mid-boss. The blue wave is completely pushed to our base guardians, but we do have 3 strong characters, all with their ults, and they don't have some of their strong ults. Because of their advantage, they're obviously going to do the mid boss with this. However, because of our strong characters and our strong ults, we can go and we can contest this mid and we can potentially steal it, maybe even win the fight. So as soon as I realize this, I call out to my team to get ready for mid boss and to go already.
Oh, holy.
It's gonna do mid. I can go. You can go, Tim.
Yeah, I'm on the way. I have unstoppable.
So as you can see, when the mid boss roars, all three of us are already almost at the mid boss and we're ready to contest. If we weren't set up and we were in yellow, we were in our base, we were pushing the wave, this would be a lot worse and we wouldn't be ready to contest this and we would have to give it to them. But because we were, we get a few kills, we get a few of the rejuvenators, and this mid boss goes a lot better than if we didn't contest. In this next example, almost every single person on my team, including myself, plays this terribly. So we just lost a fight and we're only down 2 people and we still have a good amount of our strong ults. However, they have a lot of very strong gun characters. So I should realize that when they're doing mid boss, it's going to go down so quickly. I realize that they're doing mid boss, and I calmed my team that we need to get ready for it, we need to posture for it, and I tell my Kelvin specifically to posture for it before it roars. We have to go quickly, yeah.
We fight it.
We have to be posturing for it now, Kelvin. Posturing for it now, before the roar. Hello? No, we can't. We cannot. However, while I'm doing this, I'm also going back to base to get a heal before I go. This makes me too late. My Kelvin is too late because he wasn't getting ready for it. And my 7 is too late because he was just a little bit slow. And so the only person that's even there in time is my Infernus. Seeing that, I call him to not go, and we should just back up and reset and take the fight while they have the rejuve. However, my Infernus still goes in, he dies, and then we lose both a person and they get all the rejuves. So that was a perfect example of how not to contest the mid boss. This last example is a bit specific and a little bit niche, but is also super important to understand how to approach this situation. Basically, we won a fight and then started to do the mid boss, but we were too low, and after the mid boss roar, we were forced off of it and some of us were killed. So, what we have to understand here is that if and when the other team decides to do the mid boss, there will not be a roar and you'll only hear it once the mid boss actually dies. This means they have to be super aware of what the other team is doing and ready to be at the mid boss at a moment's notice. However, even though we had 4 people alive in this example, the only one that was actually ready for the mid boss drop was the Bebop. The Haze was a little bit late and wasn't able to contest the actual rejuve drop but could fight after, and the Dynamo and the Vindicta weren't there at all. That was just a few examples from my games of the last 2 days of playing. I'm personally always still working on getting better at this. It can be really hard to predict exactly what the other team is going to do and react to it accordingly. However, on this new patch, I think it is super important to try your best to think about what they're going to do and play proactively rather than just reactively. If you enjoyed or learned something, I'd really appreciate if you liked or subscribed. I try to make educational content like this reasonably often. Just let me know what kind of things you want to see, or if you have any questions, you can leave those in my comments in my Discord, which is linked below, or when I'm live, whether on YouTube or on Twitch. As always, I appreciate you and have a good one.